All right, in this video, I want to touch on training modalities and how that's keeping you from getting lean and having the physique that you're looking for, building the amount of muscle that you really want to build. Like a lot of guys I see in the gym, they're in the early stages of training. I can tell they just started kind of like watching. Now there's social media, right? I'm an '80s baby, so when I was in the gym, I wasn't initially reading any literature or having any videos to watch, right? I learned from like football coaches how to get stronger, right? Starting with calisthenics when I was 10, push ups, leg raises, and running sprints after football practice and Little League football, right? Then high school, we start lifting weights, squats, trap bar deadlifts, bench presses, right? And then all the auxiliary lifts, the pull downs, the isolation, the curls, shoulder presses, all that stuff. And then when I was a senior, I had my first experience with powerlifting. I did my first powerlifting competition. And so I used to hate squats, right? When coach wasn't looking, we skipping sets. I just said I did it. I ain't do them. You know what I mean? You know you ain't do them. He let you make it. Some coaches let you make it, but I hated squats, right? But that senior year when I actually got serious and I did the squats and the deadlifts for this competition, I mean it was excruciating. I hated it, right? I used to like the deadlifts, but the squats, like man, I just hated getting in that squat. It was just so uncomfortable, right? But after I think I might have trained for maybe 8 months or something like that, 6 to 8 months. But whatever it was, after the training was done, I was different, right? I mean, I would go to the mall and grown women I'm like 17, right? Women twice my age are like stopping me at the mall, trying to invite me to the crib, cook me dinner. Like it was hitting different, right? My back was looking like a wall. You know what I'm saying? Neck was on swole, right? And shoulders was looking broad, right? And I noticed I went to a tournament my senior year and we had a basketball tournament. Competed in track and field on the relay team. I had a baseball tournament, and I did powerlifting. And just my performance in that tournament was like the best it had ever been. After I did that training, I was jumping higher. I was getting off the ground faster than I ever had get off. It was like I didn't even have any weight to my body. It was just like, oh, right there, yeah, just go, and then boom, and then I'm there. Right? It just felt like so easy to move my body in a way I had never experienced, and my athleticism improved, my physique improved, but I still took a long time to put together like the nutrition part and the physique part and the athleticism part, right? Because I was a guy who was into every training modality because initially I didn't really understand all the differences completely, and I was just studying them all at the same time and using all of them, all the modalities. It was like I was studying all the bodybuilders, right? I was buying all the bodybuilding magazines and reading them incessantly. Every workout plan they had in there, every advice that they gave, the encyclopedia bodybuilding, I read all that stuff, right? And then I would study power lifters and all their training modalities. And then I would study track and field coaches and football coaches who were training college level and professional level football teams and the modalities that they were using, right? And so I wanted to be big, strong, muscular, and powerful. But it was some years before I realized that those guys are using substances. I ain't gonna never look like that, right? So some of these workouts and stuff in here that they're giving me, even though there was some benefit to doing them, I ain't gonna never look like that, right? Oh, they're talking about eating that much food. Well, they can eat that much food and stay lean because they're using this substance, right? Or like your job, and not that because for me, there's certain substances that you're using, it's going to be very difficult if you're 6 foot and under to go over 200 pounds and still maintain like a super striated, ripped physique, right? It can be, not that it can't be done at all, but like a lot of times we see that when we see that there was some aid of a substance involved, right? But understanding these modalities and what they do to your body and that they're just a means to an end, I found, okay, there's like certain exercises that even if you say, I want to be a bodybuilder, I'm just worried about like how I look, there's still certain exercises that move the needle the most, in my opinion. And those are like the squat, the back and the front squat, right? The leg press doesn't replace it. I've done leg press. It's not the same. Right? I don't care what you say. It's just not the same. Doing front squats builds your upper body in a way that no leg machine can, and you're squatting with it, but it changes my physique. It changed my posture, right? It strengthened my lats, right? It strengthened my shoulder girdle. It strengthened my chest, right? It improved my shoulder mobility and my balance and my coordination and my ability to like block the force when I'm running to go into a jump, right? So, and all of that makes me, it changes how I look, right? It changes it. And almost in a way that you can't always just like describe it exactly, but you can like see it in the way that I'm moving. When I play a sport or when I get ready to do things, you can see that, oh, there's power there. Or he looked like he about to get, oh yeah, you look like you about to just dunk on somebody. And people tell me these things, right? And when I started to introduce these exercises, even without thinking of it from a bodybuilding perspective, because my primary goal when I found weightlifting was to be a better athlete. Even though I loved bodybuilding, I used to love wrestling too, right? I used to love wrestling, WWF and WCW wrestling back in the '80s and the '90s, right? And there was a lot of guys on there who were on substances, right? But it was swole and it was strong, and so I was always into like being strong and formidable and being athletic, seeing guys doing flips off the top rope and all those things, like being able to do all those flips and air acrobatics while being strong and formidable and picking each other up and body slamming and suplexing. Football, being big and strong, being a linebacker weighing 225 and just coming through the hole and just breaking somebody's sternum, something like that. Like, that was what I was thinking about. Plus, I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood and, I got my first black eye at 7. You know what I'm saying? But the first time somebody tried to come for me, I was probably like 8 or 9, you know what I mean? Where somebody made an attempt on me being alive, you know what I'm saying? So I learned early on, like, oh, you need strength in this world, right? And that's more important than just looking. But if you look apart, people are more inclined to have to think twice. If you just look formidable, you don't have to be the biggest person in the world to look for. People can see that you're formidable when you start doing certain types of work to your body, right? So most guys who I see in the gym, they're doing too many isolation exercises when they could really benefit from just doing squats, deadlifts, and bench presses. And just, you could skip auxiliary most weeks and maybe come do it once every other week or something. But instead of that, most guys are spending all day doing curls and shoulder presses, lateral raises, the pull down machines with the, instead of like rowing and doing, pull-ups are cool, but like doing heavy rows. The hammer strength machines are my favorite back machines. Those are really effective. I don't really use the hammer strength for anything other than back, really, for the most part. And really, when it comes to machine work, I really only use it for back. But when it comes to everything else, I'm just pretty much on the barbells or the dumbbells because they're just the most effective. They give you the biggest bang for your buck. I'll go in the gym and train for like 45 minutes on the weights and be done. There'll be guys in there, they still on one station. I've already done squats and bench, and they're still doing like one exercise where they're taking like 5 or 6 minutes rest in between. So you don't even need to be doing all that rest, right? You're not getting a good stimulation. You're just in here chilling, talking on the phone. You know what I mean? Like, guys been there wasting time. But you don't really, even though the magazines tell you to do all this isolation work, and I know you want to look muscular, so you think, I want my biceps like this and this and that. But to build a foundation, when I looked at all the early bodybuilders, they was doing heavy squats, front and back, heavy deadlifts, heavy bench presses, and heavy overhead presses. Everything else was just icing on the cake, right? The powerlifting guys, that's what they're doing, right? The Olympic weightlifting guys, they're just squatting. Every day they go in there, they're squatting, right? Because the barbell squat is probably like the best exercise, right? Then deadlifts. And for the upper body, the bench presses, right? And the overhead presses. So if you're going to do anything when you go in there, if you want to build any sort of physique or be any type of athlete, those are like the foundational exercises. Now, the rep ranges that you choose to do, I found I don't need a bunch of reps. Like, you can do a bunch of reps, but why do a bunch of reps if you don't need to do a bunch of reps? Like, you can build muscle, using a few reps. And you can manipulate it. Like, I'll do doubles on a squat. Let's say I'm going to do front squats, I'm going to do doubles. And I start with the bar. And then I just add 20 pounds and do 2 reps. Put it down, add another 20 pounds, do 2 reps. No rest in between. The only rest is just putting on 20 more pounds. Right? By the time I get through like the fifth or sixth rep, I'm sweating. Right? By the time I'm done, I'm drenched in sweat. Like I just played ball or did cardio. Everybody who be doing squats, they be dry the whole time because they're resting 10 minutes in between every set. Right? Now I've gotten like almost like a HIIT workout in because I didn't rest. My heart rate is up high, right? I got the strength work in, and I was able to have a lot of time under tension because I'm just briefly resting and then I'm right back under it. Brief rest, right back under it, right? So that creates a different level of fatigue that you have to fight through because you're not resting, and it helps you to build strength. And then if I actually wanted to test my strength, I could just have a day where I took a little bit longer and rested in between to see like what my max number could be. But I don't do a bunch of reps, right? And then if I want to do reps, I'll use calisthenics, right? I'll do lunges after I squat to get that blood pumping and get that more time under tension, right? Doing sets of 10 to 15, walking lunges, side lunges, right? And different jumping exercises too. Jumping is another thing too. Like when you jump, it changes your physique. You use, especially when you're arm swinging, right? You're using a lot of lats, a lot of traps. Your traps will grow, your shoulders will grow from the violent shrug and swing up, right? Your legs get more powerful. When I'm doing max jumps, like you're trying to dunk or if you can't dunk, let's say you could touch the net. Try to touch the net like 5 times, 10 times. And if you miss it, don't count. If you know you can touch it and you missed it, it doesn't even count. You got to get a good rep in, right? And then if you can't touch the net, just start trying to. Then once you can touch the net, work up to being able to hit the little pad on the backboard. Once you can do that, work to the glass, and then work to touching the rim and getting over the rim. But just the act of doing that is difficult. Trying to jump high is harder than lifting weights to me. Like it's hard to do, and you got to stick the landing. But I found that once I do more jumps and then I go squat a couple days later, the bar is moving with a new level of velocity, right? I'm moving different. The muscle is producing more force now. My body's starting to look different. Like I'm muscular, but it got a different density to it now. And then when I start sprinting and running and jumping and moving, there's a power to how I'm moving that got people like they're stopping what they're doing to look at me. They're watching me and they're not even working out. They came to the gym and just watched me work out the whole time. That's when it's starting to hit different now, right? When I start leaving the earth and people are just like, oh, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Or I go set a screen on somebody who's 6'6", 230 pounds, and they, right? Like they hit a wall. And I'm only $190, right? But it's like all those modalities put together. Now, guys who want to have a good-looking body will look at my body and think I'm in there doing bodybuilding, right? And I skip curls most weeks. Like I'll have some periods where I'll do some curls, once or twice a week for a 2-3 week period. Then I'll get bored with them Jones, and I don't do them no more for like a month or two, right? Because the biceps is getting work with the prime movers, with the heavy rows, right? But really the combination of all these things I think will give you the best looking physique. If you have the movement capacity to sprint, to jump high, and lift weights through their full range of motion in a very athletic way, right? With power and speed and control, your body is going to look different, right? When I look at bodybuilders on the Mr. Olympia stage, I don't see athletes. I'm just being honest. I see impressive physiques. I don't see athleticism. And to me, what's the point in squatting 800 if I can't jump? I would think like if you could move 800 pounds, you should be able to just throw your body through the roof. And if you can, then what was the point? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't seem like to make much sense to me. It should correlate, and and the people who I see who are the most athletic, they generally, to me, have the most impressive looking physiques when they are strong and they have a well-balanced physique, but they also have an above average level of athletic ability. All right, so really I think it's important to focus on, this is getting a little long, so I'm gonna wrap it up, but like go through the training modalities, right? fitness is just endurance based. Doing CrossFit, a lot of people, you're just gonna end up like getting hurt probably, and then you're not really gonna build the physique you're looking for because that's just endurance, right? Strength and muscle comes from lifting heavier loads and building your strength, not just wearing yourself out and annihilating yourself and just working yourself into the ground. Stimulate, don't annihilate, and then you stimulate and recover. The body grows back stronger, and then you got to do that over time. Someone who's been training for 10 years is going to have a different level of density to their physique than somebody who trained for a year or two. Even though you can look better and you can get more muscular, time matters. You're going to only keep getting better if you just keep doing it consistently, right? And I would say incorporate all the modalities. Be able to be a human. Run it. If you can't run and jump, like those are your basic human faculties, and you don't do it ever. You know what I mean? That's going to kind of affect how your body moves through the plane, right? You're going to look more rigid and stiff, right? It's not going to flow as much, right? So consider what it is you really want to achieve. Do you just want to be lean? You just want a six-pack so you can look good on the beach, and even if that's all that you care about, still consider what you're doing in the gym. Maybe you think you need a bulking cut, and you're just making yourself fat for no good reason. You really just need to find what the exact amount of calories your body needs to function optimally is, and just stick to that and maintain your regimen and watch the fat melt away, right? And you may not care about having muscles and looking athletic. You just want your stomach to be flat so you can see your six-pack. And to do that, you just need to get the fat off your body, which you can do. But combining these methods together will speed up the process for you. You actually get there faster if you're an athlete who also incorporates bodybuilding and powerlifting and Olympic weightlifting modalities, and your nutrition is on point and you know how to recover, right? So just something to keep in mind. I hope you enjoyed the video. Till next time, peace.